Hey everyone, I'm State Central Committeeman Maurice West. I'm also State Representative of the 67th District.
And my name is Carter Elliott. I am the Organizing Director here in Illinois 17th Congressional District for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee.
And we're really excited to have Jonathan Logemann with us for our town hall. This town hall is focused solely on Mr. Logemann. And so, Carter, if you're okay with it, I'm going to put you in the background and put Jonathan in the forefront. You cool with that? All right. So good, man. Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm good, Representative West. How are you?
Man, so far so good. It's so good to see you. Really excited to have you here. So we have a host of series of questions for you. We have a 10-minute opening statement for you, 5 questions, which were 3 minutes each, and then a 5-minute closing statement. So we'll go ahead and start with your opening statement, and I'll take myself off the front stage and put myself in the background, and you have 10 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much, Representative West. So yes, I am so excited to run for this open seat here in the Illinois 17th Congressional District because it is so very important, right? Public service is at the heart of having strong communities. And I think we see that in all the work that I've done and in everything that I respect in other people, that commitment to other people and helping other people up. That's what I'm all about. And I think we need a whole lot more of that locally in our neighborhoods, in our communities, across our state, and certainly in our country, and definitely the world right now too. So a little bit more about myself, so you know who you're talking to here. And so Jonathan Logemann is my name. I am a first best job that I have. I am a husband and father to 3 wonderful little girls. Their ages 5, 3, and 3 months. And I love telling this story because I think telling this story tells you a little more about who I am and what I value. So our 5-year-old girl, she goes to Barber Elementary School here in Rockford Public Schools. We named her Eleanor because we want her to aspire to the dynamism of Eleanor Roosevelt. And our second little girl is Maya. We named her after Maya Angelou because we want her to aspire to that dynamism and the work and just the intelligence and the spirit of Maya Angelou there. And then our third little girl, 3-month-old little Octavia Malala, we named her middle name after the Pakistani education activist. Because my job as a teacher and my wife's job as a teacher as well, standing up for what you believe in is so very important, and we want to instill those values in our own children. And my wife and I certainly look to instill those values in our students as well throughout our community. So that is the best job that I have, and it certainly keeps me busy. But a little more about what I've chosen to do with my life. For the last 12 years, I've been a teacher. Currently this year I was I'm at Rockford Auburn High School, working in a variety of different fields. So I've taught government, business, economics. I was even the social intervention learning environment teacher for about 2.5 years before I deployed to Afghanistan. And that was probably, some of the most impactful years of my life as a teacher. I went into teaching because I saw the impact that my dad had. My dad was a high school teacher and coach. And I also became a basketball coach and a baseball coach over at Auburn as well, basketball coach at Kennedy Middle School. So that commitment to help lifting up our youth and lifting up our community is something that inspires me every morning. And so that social intervention learning environment piece, I was working daily with the kids that needed the most support in our communities. And, I thought I helped some kids, and I saw what my dad did. And my dad had, he's passed away about 15 years ago. But he was able to make those connections with the kids that, other teachers just couldn't connect with. And we think about, COVID and how that's impacted our students. That connection is so very important. And then also I'm in the Illinois Army National Guard for the last 10 years. Learned a whole lot about just excellent leadership through my time in the Illinois Army National Guard and what it means to be a leader, and very proud of that service, because the Illinois Army National Guard, it's been, there's been a high op tempo, as we call it, high operations tempo, with COVID mitigation, COVID testing, COVID vaccine missions what we've supported. So all that work is so incredibly important to our communities. And then to include a combat deployment to Afghanistan, putting our lives on the line in support of the freedom and the values of this country. And, it's a practice, where I had to write down, in case I die, please give this to my family and my little girls. That was a really striking letter for me to write. And it made me really reflect on, why I work in the fields that I do, just looking to support our communities and service. So, those are the jobs that I've committed my life to, and I'm so very proud to do that. And then also for the last 5 years, I've served as a city alderman here in Rockford, and I don't have a staff at all. So when somebody calls me up, something that's very important to me, you're going to get a phone call back from Jonathan Logemann. You're going to get a text back, an email. Heck, you can even Facebook message me, and you're going to get a return message. I've even gotten a few today, working to solve, sanitation issues, yard issues, neighborhood blight issues, right? All of these different things that make our lives better. And so, I think anybody who knows me knows my commitment and dedication to improving our lives here in Rockford, but then more broadly in the Illinois 17th Congressional District, which is why I'm running. And so, a few of the key issues that we have here in the Illinois 17th that I'm going to be very excited to champion. Number one, I think a big issue is jobs, right? And inflation and the economy. And so myself, as an economics teacher for the last 12 years, but teaching specifically economics, we see some of these issues in our economy, and it was an honor to teach this subject matter to my students, and then working to help fix this problem, because it is impacting so many. It's impacting every family across the Illinois 17th. So, I'm a firm believer that a job, having a good job, can turn a life around, can turn a family around, and you have more and more families that turn their lives around. So then we're suddenly turning around our entire city. And I am of the mind that the best social program that we can offer somebody is a good job. When you think about the purpose and the motivation that goes along with a real meaningful job, that has benefits, where you can provide for your family, that is the American dream. So that is going to be of front mind, making sure, these kitchen table issues, making sure that we've got a good economy for all of our residents, an economy that really works for the people of our communities, right? If we have a hot economy, but it's only working for the upper 1% or the upper 10%, and it's not working for the people of Peoria or the Quad Cities, Bloomington, Rockford, or Freeport, everywhere in between, then is that really a good economy? So that is a chief focus of mine. And then more broadly as a teacher, right? So education is of top mind too. And one of the things that I was really, and I'll talk about this a little later too, one of the things I was very proud to help support was the Rockford Promise here in Rockford. I remember the day that I was going to take that vote. I got in front of my first period class and I said, "Hey, Mr. Logemann is going to save you some money today, kids." I was teaching 9th graders last year. And then I had one student, his name's Charles. He said he was taking down notes on what he has to do in order to earn, free college, if he qualifies and gets that 3.0. So in Rockford Public Schools. So making sure that we can, create real value for the people of our district, that is so important. And then as far as education, inputting teacher mentorship programs, retaining high quality teachers is so important and critical. And one of the scariest statistics out there right now is we have 50% of our teachers thinking about leaving the workforce, right? We've got to fix that. As a teacher, that's wrong. As the father of a little 5-year-old who loves kindergarten, loves her teacher, cried when we had to tell her about spring break, and what that was, how you're going to be away from your teacher for a week. We 205. So included in that is a woman's right to choose, the freedom to make your own decisions for your own body. That is imperative, and that's why these seats here in the Illinois 17th, these toss-up seats, are so very important to hold on to. So when we think about things like protecting the right to vote and fighting back against these efforts to suppress the right to vote, I went over to Afghanistan on a few different instances, right? Almost died in order to protect that right to vote. I took an oath. I would have been proud to do it. And there have been, so many soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the rights and the values that we have here in this country. And we need to keep up our end of the bargain here as citizens and making sure that we, can support these freedoms that we hold dear. So protecting our democracy, never would think that we'd have to say that here in our wonderful, wonderful country of the United States of America. But that is paramount too. And again, so critical why we need to have and protect these districts here in the Illinois 17th. So, I think in closing, this is going to be an incredibly tough race. This is going to be one of the top 10, toughest seats in the whole House of Representatives. All eyes across the United States are going to be here on the Illinois 17th Congressional District, because it's seats like these that determine which way the House of Representatives goes. It's the difference between good, responsible leadership and reckless leadership, right? One of the things that I've been so very proud of my record as a city alderman is that, being there for anybody. And there's, even another story where, I was working with somebody who I know for a fact didn't vote for me because we're at different ends of the political spectrum. Didn't matter to me. He was still going to get help from me because I am his elected official. That good, responsible leadership, dedication to community, as a teacher, as a soldier, as a city alderman, we need more of that spirit here locally, at the state level, and definitely nationally as we work to create a more perfect union. So, I'm running because at the end of the day, I am an optimist. I believe in the values of our country, and we need to live up to them. And I'm going to do anybody who knows me knows that I am such an extremely hard worker, and I will continue to work to ensure, that we do hold up our end of the bargain and create that more perfect union.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. All right, let's move on to the first question for you, and it's quite simple. What makes you the best candidate to keep this seat blue? You have 3 minutes.
Yeah. As I alluded to in my opening statement, I think my record of service really builds trust. So when we think about the keys to winning elections, right, you've got your base of support, and on the other side, there's a base of support that's probably not going to vote for you, and everywhere in between, there's a lot of independence there. So working to earn that trust, myself, everyone trusts their teacher. Everyone trusts their city alderman because I'm just the neighbor down the street. As a soldier, I've earned the trust of my leadership working to serve the United States of America here. So in those 3 different jobs, again, anybody that knows me knows that I am working towards, a mission first, results oriented type of mentality to create a stronger community there. So, I think that's one, that background, my history, my record of service and trust to the people of Rockford, and then more broadly in the Illinois 17th Congressional District. And then as far as elected experience, I've got over 5 years of elected experience right now, and that's, if not the top, it's, one of the top here of all the candidates in the primary. And I think that means something. Being elected, I was able to flip a seat here in Rockford. It was a Republican seat for the last 34 years, maybe longer. And I worked so hard, and I'm very proud of this. Knocked on literally every single door in the ward. Didn't matter if they voted or not. I was going to tell them about what it meant to be a city alderman and the services that the city of Rockford provides. So that elected experience, I think, is very vital, and I'm very proud of all the things that we've accomplished here in the city of Rockford. Working with my colleagues on city council, with Mayor McNamara as well. We're doing a lot of good things, improving our neighborhoods, and on the right track. And then, I think a real important thing is having local elected experience. So, I know the issues of our community. And so, when people ask you, what are the issues that voters talk to you about? And I say a lot of times, it's a lot of the issues that I hear about as city alderman, right? People want to be safe in their communities. People just want a less onerous government, and they want to be supported by their government too. And then, that mentality that I have of mission focused, results oriented, having that type of mentality is really critical here in the Illinois 17th. And, I think that we're going to keep this seat blue, and I'll be proud to do it, Representative West.
All right, thank you. So, second question for you. What would your first 100 days in Congress look like?
Yes. So I think a lot of it comes down to relationship building. So, and I think another strength of mine, Representative West, my ward in the second ward, is split between two different legislative districts with the General Assembly, between Representative Vella and Representative West. And, I know that I personally have reached out to your staff and, reached out to you, and the same with Representative Vella, to help our residents here in Rockford. And that same type of spirit goes to every single community, in our entire district. So, my own dad, who grew up on, in a little farm outside of Stockton, Illinois, in Joe Davis County, we talk about supporting our cities and our small towns and everywhere in between. That relationship building is so critical to getting anything done, and building the trust between different representatives, especially here within the Illinois delegation. But finding common ground, doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, finding common ground with different representatives to make sure that we can get results and get stuff done for the people of the Illinois 17th Congressional District. And then, obviously, we would work towards these important issues to support the people of the Illinois 17th. We've got to work to mitigate the negative effects of inflation. We've got to make sure that we expand, the rights and the freedoms and democracies, and work to support that, whether that be, the right to vote or a woman's right to choose. And so these important issues, paramount, including education. And then, of course, Representative West, a lot of this depends on if Democrats are in the majority or not, how we begin work to support the people of the Illinois 17th Congressional District. So, bottom line, I think we, as elected representatives, we need to make sure that we support and ensure the strength of our democracy, as I had alluded to earlier. So those first 100 days, getting involved in the issues deeply, building those relationships, and then ultimately working toward that more perfect union. But it's, as it's a lot of hard work to make sure, that we know the right resources and the right people to connect to deliver for our constituents. Proud to have done it here in the city of Rockford, and we'll be honored to do that on behalf of the good people of the Illinois 17th Congressional District.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Moving on to the third question, which is quite lengthy, but thankfully it will be on your screen. People are concerned about the economy, such as inflation, gas prices, the possibility of a recession, and supply chain issues. What are your main ideas to improve the economic health of the district?
Yeah, that's the drum that I keep banging. So I think number one, these are all long-term changes that we can make to support our communities and the whole region in northern and western and central Illinois. I think one of the critical things that we need to do to help fix some of the issues that we're in is we need to start really bringing manufacturing back and rethinking what the future of work looks like here in northern, western, and central Illinois. So, we've got some really strong natural advantages here in our part of the country. When we talk about our proximity to a world-class city in Chicago and all of the economic activity that takes place in Chicago, and then our proximity to the Mississippi River, to the Illinois River, and to the Rock River. And so, bringing back manufacturing to this space is critically important. And then, and so what does that look like? A lot of that looks like like the Stellantis plant, or the Chrysler plant, as it's more commonly known here in this part of the state. The writing was on the wall that a lot of those jobs were, going to be moving down to Mexico, and so through our state delegation, and I know you were part of that too, Representative West. Creating legislation to create tax incentives to start retooling that factory into one that produces electric vehicles. So it's that type of outside the box thinking where we can tackle the issues of the day as far as the economy, and then also work to support a greener and cleaner environment. We need more of that at the local level, at the state level, and definitely at the national level. And then we also think about the advantages that go on with the airport in the Quad Cities, and how much that is expanding, and definitely the Chicago Rockford International Airport. There's a lot of good things that's going on, and we can make sure that we capitalize on that. So, we've got to get to the bottom of the supply chain crisis, and we understand, the chief cause of inflation. It's just too much cash chasing too few goods. So a lot of this talk, right, bringing back jobs to Illinois, we would mitigate those negative effects of the supply chain crisis going on here when we're building things in our region and not shipping everything halfway across the globe. So really working to fight for our communities, in Rockford, Peoria, Galesburg, everywhere in between, and making sure that we can revitalize our communities again. And another thing that I think is very important is the expansion of broadband and fiber optic internet as well. So as we move into an era of more remote work, considering our proximity to different locations, this is going to help out rural communities and mid-sized communities like all of the ones across the Illinois 17th. So a lot of these long-term solutions are going to work to help our economy, to support our communities and our constituents.
Thank you so much. Moving to the next question. How would Congresswoman Bustos' work in office inform your own work, and how would you continue her legacy?
Well, I'll tell you how I've already done it. I remember I went to a Cheri Bustos Build the Bench program, which I'm sure many people watching have been to or have heard of, and I really understood from Congresswoman Bustos how important it was to have excellent constituent services. And so I really internalized that. And I went to that Build the Bench program while I was running for office in the 2nd Ward in Rockford. And this was way back in 2017, but really internalized that. So once I was elected to office here in Rockford, made that a hallmark of mine. And I think you can ask anybody in Rockford and they'll tell you the same thing, that I go out of my way to be accessible to my community and to my residents. And it doesn't even matter if you live in the second ward or not. You got a problem in the city of Rockford, I'm going to help you out. I take that same mentality to the Illinois 17th Congressional District to carry on Congresswoman Bustos' legacy there. So, these different things that I do, like a monthly email to my constituents, signing up on an email list, telling them all the wonderful things that are happening, not only in the second ward on city council, but also in the city of Rockford. And then, something that I was very proud to do, I put it number one on my little palm card when I was going around door to door, telling people vote to re-elect Logemann in 2021 last year. Top thing I put, answers every phone call and every email. And if you reach out to me, you're going to get an answer back. It's something that would certainly continue in the Illinois 17th Congressional District. And I know Congresswoman Bustos, she's even won Constituent Services Awards. And I'll tell you, I would work my butt off to make sure that we continue to win those Constituent Services Awards as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. To our final question. Name one accomplishment of yours that you are proud of that is currently benefiting our community.
Yeah, I think I had alluded to it earlier, but working with Mayor McNamara, with the city of Rockford and RPS 205, and all the work that went on behind the scenes with NIU and Rock Valley College and Rockford University to create the Rockford Promise. When we think about how important public schools are to the fabric of our community, making sure that our communities, in this case, Rockford, for an example, is a destination for families and young families to help revitalize our communities. And the public school system would be a first choice for our residents here. And I think that happens through the Rockford Promise program. And so that was, like I was saying earlier, telling my students the different benefits that are available to them, right? If you keep your head on straight, kid, if you do the right thing, you stick hard and study, good things can happen. And with the Rockford Promise, so very proud to, have worked towards that to give students, an economical and accessible education. And I am so proud of that. I talk about that all the time across the Illinois 17th Congressional District, because this wasn't magic. This idea can be replicated in a lot of our other communities to support, the people in our communities, as we work to better ourselves. And then we can also expand that as far as apprenticeship training or, working in different in trade jobs. Right. So, making sure that, workforce development matches the skills required by the employers in our community so that families, individuals can get the good jobs that can uplift our community. That is so very important. So very deeply proud to have been a part of that, as a RPS 205 teacher, as a city alderman. These are the types of outside the box thinking that go to help support our communities, and support economic development too within our communities. And, making sure that people have access to quality jobs and a quality lifestyle that we all deserve as Americans, and especially here in Illinois.
Thank you so much for answering our questions. Now we're going to move on to our closing statement, and you have 5 minutes for that.
Yes. So I'm so very proud to be running for the Illinois 17th Congressional District. And I've always said this again and again, that this isn't about a particular candidate. It's about making sure that we've got good representation to support our communities. And again, I think my experience as a local official, a local elected official, and where I see the issues that go on, municipalities, they are the engine of the state. And so having that perspective, I think, is incredibly important. One anecdote that I bring up a lot, and I was actually at the Keith Creek Neighborhood Association meeting last night, for example, is infrastructure. Infrastructure can't be a once every generation issue. It's something that we have to keep up and maintain. So not only taking care of our roads and bridges, but how do we use infrastructure to breathe a breath of fresh life into our neighborhoods? And I'll give you an example that the Keith Creek in Keith Creek in Rockford, it's a big greenway right here, and we've had to demolish a lot of buildings over the last 15 years after they were flooded too close to the creek. Now it's a greenway. What do we use with that space, right? We can use it to create more active transportation, parkways, different bike lanes for our residents. And what does that do? That makes that area more attractive for families and young families to move into, breathing fresh life into our communities. When you think about the 11th Street corridor that's going on in Rockford, and that is through state and federal help, working with our community to make sure that we can support neighborhoods, right? Because as we get down to it, politics doesn't matter if it's local elected politics, state politics, or federal politics. We all work for the people of our communities, and we can't forget that. Myself as an elected official, I'll never forget that. In my work as a teacher, I am in the trenches daily, working to support the kids of our community. And I think having, I was even once asked, you're a teacher, Jonathan Logemann, what makes you think that you can run for Congress? And I said to him, I think, being a teacher, it's one of the greatest assets that I have, because I am in touch daily with our communities, with the children of our communities, seeing what they deal with. So, in closing, again, as I alluded to earlier, this is going to be a tough race, a top 10 race in the entire country, where all eyes are going to be focused on the Illinois 17th and a few other districts like this, is it's going to determine who holds sway, who controls the House of Representatives. And when we think about the issues that matter to our community that I've spoken so passionately about here, healthcare, education, protecting our democracy, protecting a woman's right to choose, right? All of those issues are encapsulated here in the Illinois 17th Congressional District. And, it's imperative we can get mad at whoever we want to, our favorite or least favorite elected politician of the day. But what it comes down to is holding tough seats like this here in the House of Representatives and in the United States Senate too. And I'm so happy and excited to do that work, to make sure that, we support our communities, work to support the freedoms and the values that we hold so dear here in the United States of America, and proud to continue that work to support our neighbors and our residents. So yes, hopefully, I'm hopeful that you'll consider voting for me, Jonathan Logemann, here on June 28th. Or any day earlier, as early voting has already started. But I just want you to know how proud I am to work to hopefully represent you in Congress, and how much fun that I am currently having getting out in all of the different communities and meeting all sorts of different people going to so many different coffees. It's been a wonderful experience, and I'm a happy warrior working to continue to try to make a difference in our community. So thank you, Representative West, for putting this on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Logemann. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who want to learn more about Jonathan, or even to join his campaign, you can go to his website, jonathanlogemann.com. Thanks again, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you.